I'd like to share an essay with you today by Norman Solomon. It's kind of logical in a pathological way. A country that devotes a vast array of resources to killing capabilities will steadily undermine its potential for healing, for social justice, for health care. Martin Luther King Jr. described the horrific trend line 4 decades ago. A nation that continues year after year to spend more money on military defense than on programs of social uplift is approaching spiritual death. If a society keeps approaching spiritual death, it's apt to arrive. Here's an indicator. Nearly 1 in 6 Americans has no health insurance, and tens of millions of others are badly underinsured. And here's another. The United States, the world's preeminent warfare state, now spends $2 billion a day on military pursuits. Gaining health care for all will require overcoming priorities of the warfare state. And Norman Solomon goes on to say, I remember the ferocious media debate over the proper government role in healthcare 43 years ago. As the spring of 1965 got underway, the bombast was splattering across the front pages and flying through the airwaves. Many commentators warned that a proposal for a vast new program would bring socialism and destroy the sanctity of the free enterprise system. The new program was called Medicare. Now, as we're finding out, the new socialism in terms of economics here today is the kind of socialism that essentially bails out bad decisions by the free enterprise system via our own tax dollars. In other words, free enterprise and the free market is now being curtailed thanks to those bad decisions to begin with. This is my own commentary, not Norman Solomon's, but I'm sure many of you can relate to that. These days, when speaking on campuses, I bring up current proposals for a single-payer system, in effect Medicare for Americans and for all. Most students seem to think it's a pretty good idea. But once in a while, somebody will, of course, vocally object to such an arrangement as being socialism. Today we're left with the unfulfilled potential of Medicare for all. It should make health care a human rights issue, and it could spare our society a massive amount of money now going to administrative costs and corporative gouging. In the current presidential campaign, none of the major candidates can be heard raising the possibility of ejecting the gargantuan insurance industry from our nation's healthcare system. Instead, there's plenty of nattering about whether mandates are a good idea. Hillary Clinton even has the audacity, not the audacity of hope, but of duplicity, to equate proposed healthcare mandates with the must-pay-in requirements to sustain Social Security and Medicare. For Clinton's analogy to make any sense, we'd have to accept the idea that requiring everyone to pay taxes to the government for a common good program is akin to requiring everyone to pay premiums to the private healthcare insurance industry, which has brought about this mess in the first place. A recent New York Times story was authoritative, and it applied the conventional media wisdom. The lead sentence declared that an immediate challenge that will confront the next administration is how to tame the soaring costs of Medicare and Medicaid. In fact, I think it was also mentioned on a recent CBS story on 60 Minutes or something. And the news article pointed out that current federal spending for those health-related programs adds up to $627 billion. So Norman Solomon points out that I've been waiting for a New York Times story to declare that an immediate challenge for the next administration will be the matter of how to tame the soaring costs of the Pentagon. After all, the government's annual military spending, when you factor in supplemental bills for the warfare in Afghanistan and Iraq, is well over $627 billion. And those are just the supplementals. We're not talking about Medicare or the welfare of the people in our own nation here. Assessing the current presidential race, the Times reported the Democrats do not say in any detail how they would slow the growth of Medicare and Medicaid, or what they think about the main policy options, namely rationing care, raising taxes, cutting payments to providers, or requiring beneficiaries simply to pay more. There are other policy options, and one of those is to curtail the budget for the Pentagon. Good night.